Hey everyone, welcome to episode 11 of season 2 of Where's That Bar Card. We have enough guests to round out a foursome. I am one of them. I'm Nick Dury alongside
Gina Phillips.
Hey,
Daryl Purvis.
I remain Monty Scott.
welcome back,
you.
Gina. It's been a while. We haven't had you on yet in season 2. It's great to have you.
I know. What's changed? What do I need to know? Any format differences? Any
We're somehow
scripted
less
elements?
professional now. We're
Monty does a lot of singing in this season. There's a lot.
Yeah,
a lot of spin kicks too.
Yeah,
I've been
that's the
spin
theme.
kicking, and I'm wearing burgundy today.
I
But that's
noticed.
not a drastic change, I suppose.
It's bold
most-
though.
It's the most dressed up I've seen you for any.
Yeah. I found this. It was in the back there with the boom mics. And I was like, yeah, why not?
I'll
Gina,
try
the
it.
state. It's obviously winter. You're in Toronto now with us, but did you get out to play at least after you guys moved, or was there just no golf
No,
happening? Okay.
I didn't at all, and that's too bad. But I'm focused on next year because it was kind of a bust this year. Not a bust. I mean, I still got to some cool courses in Alberta and got to some mountain courses. But yeah, I'm kind of like, okay, next year I'm going to take it even more seriously,
Wow.
which is, there's a lot of room there for taking it more seriously, definitely.
We actually met Gina and her boyfriend. Her boyfriend, I did not know, is 5'20". Did you guys know that?
Oh wow,
Yeah,
really?
he's like 6'8", 5'20". He's a big man.
Yeah, 6'7".
5'19".
Yeah, same.
I was gonna say I'm 5'7". I was gonna call it 5'11", but no, he's taller than that.
He's
can't-
very tall.
You lose track of height. Well, when you get to a certain, I can't tell. Well, anything over 6 foot, it's all the same to me. I can't tell.
It's kind of embarrassing. It's weird. I think I'm the same height as him because I'm so used to him. And like, I think we're eye to eye. And then I see a picture of us. I'm like, oh my God, I look like a 12-year-old boy next to him.
At what point, first of all, 12-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Second of all, at what point are you looking eye to eye with him when you're both standing up? What are you standing on?
I do stand on my tiptoes. When we first
That's not
were
enough,
dating-
Gina. That's not enough.
No, it's not. But I remember this is a real thing. The bottom of my feet were like hurting. I'm like, oh, they feel like bruised or something. This is when we first started dating. I'm like, I realized I was on my tiptoes all the freaking time just to have a conversation.
I'm guessing you guys seem great together, but I'm guessing that you've stood on something to yell at him at some point.
Yeah. I like take out an apple box. I'm like, 1 second. And I set it up.
Hang on a second. You've got to be at some point, or
That's when he knows he's in the doghouse when the apple box comes out.
yeah, just for a face to face. Sometimes you got to in there for face to face yelling.
Did the apple box come on the moving truck or did it come in the Jeep with you guys?
It was a carry-on. It was a carry-on, just in case I needed it. Also, it's nice in a car, right? You can use it like a booster seat. So I can speak to him eye to eye while sitting.
We should get to the guest we have this week. We're very excited. His name is John Gordon. He's a writer, legendary writer. He's written 9 golf books, The Great Golf Courses of Canada, The Great Golf Courses of America, 7 others. He's the previous manager.
We're gonna go through that
editor.
list next.
Yeah, well, we're tight on time here, Daryl. Got to keep it moving. He's a previous managing editor of Score Golf magazine and the founding editor of Golf Canada magazine. And I think he's in 2016 he was inducted to the Ontario Golf Hall of Fame. I think he's our first Hall of Famer. which
That's
is
so
interesting.
cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
But our second Score Golf person,
Well,
right?
sure. Yeah.
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 And I don't think we've met. I don't think so. I think I would have remembered meeting him. And because he was at Score Golf before I was at Score Golf.
Okay.
Yeah. So he kind of he paved the way, for
Wow.
the success of Score Golf.
If you did meet him, do you think you would have looked him eye to eye? What are your thoughts on that? Are you guys the same height?
I don't know. I like to just carry that thing around just so I can look down on people if needed as well.
Yeah, sometimes goes both ways. Cuts both ways.
It does. Either way, it's a
Uh,
power play. It's a power
yeah.
play.
We'd be remiss. We have sponsors. We'd like to shout out BetStamp. It's the Trivago of sports betting. Monty, I got some updated odds. This is just to win a major next year. Rory McIlroy plus 225, Scotty Scheffler plus 300, Justin Thomas plus 300 as well, and Tiger Woods plus 1100 just to win a major
Whoa.
next year. What are you thinking?
I mean, I'm tempted for Tiger for
Yeah.
plus 1100. Historically, great odds for Tiger.
Sure.
But and I'm rooting for him. I really am rooting for him. I'd like to see him come back and rooting for him for everything. I'm rooting for him to get back together with the Denny's waitresses. I'm rooting for him across the board. You know what I mean? His legs. I hope I want to see him tap dance. I want to see him do a number in the Oscars.
Oh, a little bit of what was his name? Oh no,
Fred
the
Astaire.
host. It's gone, guys.
Billy
edit,
Crystal?
Chris Rock?
Edit. Time for the cut.
But thank you to BetStamp. You can get odds. They'll as I said, the Trivago of betting and to Comedy Records. Thank you very much. Let's get to this week's guest, shall we? I think your self-deprecating nature, John, is going to fit in just fine. So I wouldn't worry about it whatsoever. You were, I think, maybe one of the more accomplished writers that we've ever had on this podcast. So when you said yes, we were thrilled to have you. So thank you for accommodating our schedule and for coming on, and welcome.
Well, it's nice to be known as the guy who used to be John Gordon. So
What? How early at an age did golf come into your life?
believe it or not, when I was 30.
Really?
Yes, it's I'll make it a long story slightly shorter. I had worked at Canadian Press as a reporter and editor in Vancouver and Toronto. And when I met my now wife of almost 40 years, I was getting a little sick of the shifts and the travel and so forth. And her parents gave us one Christmas when we were still dating or engaged, perhaps, a half set of Canadian Tire clubs. So their cottage was up now not far from where we live in Midland on Bomb Beach. And there was a 9-hole golf course, which is still there. And her dad and mom would take us out golfing. And like many people, I was just dumbstruck by how great a game it is. She's slightly less dumbstruck because she's slightly less dumb than me, but well, a lot less dumb than me. And 4 years late, 3 or 4 years later, a small ad showed up in the Globe and Mail, and it said editorial director required for a small magazine publishing company in Toronto, knowledge of golf and asset. So it turned out it was Canadian Controlled Media Communications, which published at that time about 14 or 15 titles, everything from the Blue Jays scorebook and yearbook to the Toronto Symphony and a minor publication called Score Magazine. So at that point, I've been playing golf for about 4 years. I knew nothing about golf. So when I went in to interview for the job, I knew so little that when Kim Locke, who was one of the founders, along with Mike Atkins, and was the president at the time, he asked me what my best score in a golf course was, and I said 42. So he thought, well, 30 under par, that's pretty impressive. Despite the fact I only played 9 holes at the time. So
That's so funny.
So nevertheless, based on less on my golf ability and more obviously on my editorial ability, they hired me as editorial director for the company and managing editor for Score Golf. So that was in the fall of 1986, hard to believe. Over the winter time, I called up Lauren Rubenstein, who was the well-known golf columnist for the Globe and Mail and was the first editor of Score Golf. And a fellow who he knew well, who was became one of my best friends and passed away far too soon. And probably the best golf writer that no one has ever heard of, or very few people have ever heard of, James Fichette. They spent a lot of time at my house in North Toronto, just feeding me books and answering all my questions. And by the time the first issue under my editorship showed up in the spring of 1987, it wasn't terribly bad. The cover story was horrible, thanks to a good friend of mine, Tim O'Connor, who you may want to have on the show at some point to tell his side of the story. It was on golf-related injuries. He talked me into using a medical illustrator for the cover illustration, which was basically showing all the muscles of a golfer in motion. And again, a late man who became a close friend, Dick Grimm, Mr. Canadian Open, he called me up and he said, he was on our SCORE advisory board at the time, and he called me up and he said, "John, what's a naked Japanese gentleman doing on the cover of SCORE magazine?" Nevertheless,
Which part did he have a problem with?
well, it wasn't totally anatomically correct. Thank you for your prurient interest. But nevertheless, Kim kept me on, and I stayed there until I was recruited by the RCGA, the Royal Canadian Golf Association, now Golf Canada, to go over there and start their Golf Canada magazine and become their director of communications and member services. So you asked a short question. I gave you an even longer answer than you probably wanted.
No, that's perfect for a podcast. What, like, as the managing editor, is the complete direction, sorry for the ignorance of this question, but is the complete direction of each copy, is it yours? Like, do you have to come up with it, or are there writers pitching to you?
Well, that's another great question. For the most part, it was mine. The more I learned about the game, and in 2020, just as COVID was hitting, SCORE celebrated its 40th anniversary, and Kim Locke brought all the managing editors, Lorne, Bob Weeks, who was my associate editor, and I anointed him as my successor, for better or worse, for Canadian golf. He seems to have done okay.
I think so.
And then Jason Logan, the current editor, he took us all down there and as a thank you, and he said my contribution, my premier contribution, was to make SCORE magazine all Canadian. At the time when I took it over, and no offense to previous editors, it was like a country cousin of Golf Digest. They had columns from, American instructors. They had features on American players. I switched it to Canadian golf because I figured there was enough going on. And it goes back to me identifying a guy as a junior to watch, Mike Weir. So that's
wow.
Now he's our President's Cup captain next time.
Yeah.
So so it was, and then as things went on, I think Canadian writers started to recognize that they had a forum to write for, rather than us always using, prior to my editorship, always using American writers. And and I think that's something I actually attended a Golf Ontario Hall of Fame ceremony a couple of months ago, where they award the Lord Rubenstein Media Award, and three of the guys who got in, two of the three, are guys I mentored. The previously mentioned Tim O'Connor, Ted McIntyre, who was briefly editor of SCORE and still writes about golf. Tim now does a podcast with Humble Howard, and he's more of a golf coach and on the psychological side, which I don't understand and could care less about, but God bless him. And Scott McLeod, who's a great golf writer in Kingston way, and would make a great guy for you to have on the show as well.
I literally just messaged him an hour ago, asked him to be a guest on a future episode. Strangely enough.
I'm glad I got to go first, because he is better than I am, and just one of the truly nice men in golf. we've been on the road together, as you can imagine over the years, especially back in the glory days of, golf media when everything was, you were going everywhere on somebody else's ticket. Scott and I spent some time on the road, and he's another good guy is Rick Young, who's just now the past president of the Golf Journalists Association of Canada. Younger and I go back another, probably close to 30 years. And yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. There's, like in every walk of life, there are some assholes in the golf writing business, but the proportion is far smaller than in other walks of life from what I've seen. So, as far as golf media, golf writers, it's a pretty good core. I mean, it goes back to when I left, I had what I call an administration aberration. So that involved Golf Canada, and then briefly I was the executive director of Golf Ontario, which that came to a very unhappy end. But maybe more happy for them than for me. And at that time, I think Lauren and I were the only freelance golf writers in Canada. And then you could make a living back then because you were writing for, Score was kind of secondary, but you were writing for Golf Digest and Golf Mag. It was the glory days of golf magazines, right? So I mean, you could write Golf Digest for $1 a word US when the exchange rate was what it is now. I mean, you can make a very good living back there writing freelance. Now people are writing for 10 cents a word or just for a byline. So really no offense, the internet
Don't remind me.
killed golf writing.
Just to backtrack, who would you say the asshole writers are?
Present company excluded. There are a few decks out there, but they're and I don't mean that's not a short firm for anybody named Richard, but there are a few out there who are have come onto the scene lately and try to make their mark by being sensationalist. Not that there's a TMZ of golf, but there was things that went on back when I started in the business that I think I covered my first Canadian Open at Glen Abbey in probably 1979 or 1980. And you would see players at bars, in jeans and t-shirts, half in the bag on a Thursday or Friday, especially on Friday night if they knew they were gonna miss the cut. Nobody ever reported that. That was their life. That had nothing to do with what they were doing at work, right? So it became more sensationalized, and maybe that goes along with the amount of money that's now available to not just golfers but all sport, all athletes, professional athletes. But that's what that would just kind of out of bounds as far as we were concerned.
I think, John, and I'm curious your take on this, but with certain players like DeChambeau and players like that who are on social media showing a different side of themselves in order to get maybe different sponsorships or have been encouraged, right? Wasn't there a whole thing where the golf industry was pushing players to the PGA wanted them to get on social media, become more active, create those personalities. But with that comes media going, oh, that guy is kind of a bit of a dick. Let's get him while he's drunk. That'll be great content. That kind of clickbait.
I agree 100%, Gina. I think it's, you get what you ask for, right? With that type of profile comes great responsibility, right? Mm-hmm. And if you want to conduct yourself in a certain way, I think Rory McIlroy has been like the poster child for conducting himself in a very professional manner. DeChambeau, he's just anyhow. And I think social media, and I'm probably the last one to comment on this because sometimes I can't help myself sometimes. So if you follow me on Twitter, you know that I'm unabashed in my opinions, to put it very politely. And, you know, if, again, my friend Ted McIntyre did a profile on me when I was with Sportsnet. And he said in the, and I'm quoting this loosely, he said in the flower garden of golf writers, John Gordon is a cactus. So he either meant I was prickly or a prick, or, you know, or maybe both. I don't know. But, and I think that's what social media does. You know, you take a stance. If you don't want my opinion, then don't follow me. I don't like DeChambeau. I don't like his ilk. I don't like his approach to life. Don't get me started on the Live Tour. I think that's sports washing in the most vile sense. And I think that that golf, not unlike soccer, you know, we're seeing the World Cup where it's being held, and the human rights violations that go on in that part of the world in Qatar. I think that's abominable, and I think they should be held to account. And the fact that sports media, golf media, whoever, continue to report on that. If and this is easy for me to say now that I'm retired, but if, let's say, the National Post, or, you know, I won't say the Toronto Sun, but or Sportsnet assigned me to go to cover something in Saudi Arabia, I would not go. I would quit first.
I think when you mentioned Bryson, one thing that we should all say is the worst thing about him is how sexy Monty's fiance finds him.
That is the worst thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's a real problem for Monty.
on
That's
that-
why he's wearing more burgundy.
Okay, now, I do have one question though about the whole where's the bar cart thing. Like, who says bar cart? Like, do you guys, like, if you play at Rosedale, do you drink like dirty martinis and Singapore slings?
Well, we
I've
call it
always
beer
heard-
cart. We call it a bar
I've always
cart.
heard, where is the beer cart? So I'm,
Yeah, we drink a lot of whiskey too. So you know, it's a
well,
problem.
that's okay. That's okay.
We do
But is that from
greatly.
like a flask?
Yeah, exactly. We greatly appreciate you challenging the title of the show too, though.
Wow.
One question I had for you. I think you have maybe this in common with Gina and one of our past guests, Michael Grange, in that you're associated.
We
in
all
your
wear
job-
dresses. We all
Yep.
wear dresses. Is that- I know,
Yeah,
I know Grange does.
and stand on apple carts for some reason. But is that was a callback to a joke you don't know, John? It was very, very funny. But you get jobs where you're associated with golf and you're relatively new to golf, and so the pressure to be good at the sport that you're associated with, given that you were 4 years in, like, what was that like for you? And Gina, you can speak to it.
Horrible. I played in, okay, so I didn't have a handicap, right?
Right.
I didn't even probably know what a handicap, back then we called them handicap factors, now it's an index. And I played in a media day at, well, it was called the Board of Trade, now the Country Club in Woodbridge. And I played from the back tee, because if you didn't have a handicap, you had to play from the scratch tees, right? So I hit one off the heel with my driver, dinged it off the starter's hut, and just about took out 4 spectators. So that was my start. It did get better from there, because I started to take some lessons. And this is back in the day when video instruction was just starting out. So everybody had the big CBC, CBS camera on their shoulder, right? It looked like boombox. Okay, so now I'm really dating myself. And so I went to an instructor who was working out of the back shop at Weston Golf Club. And he videotaped it and then he was playing it back. So I was pretty athletic back in the day. I wasn't as good a basketball player as Grange. I know, I listened to part of his podcast. He was a hell of a basketball player, good athlete. But so he does the stop action thing. He says, you know, at address, you look great, you know, top of the position, you look terrific. He says at impact, it looks good. Follow through is pretty good. He says it's only when you put it all together that it looks like shit. So,
That's funny.
no, it wasn't. No, actually, but it got better from there. You know,
But the thing is, a lot of golf writers are very good at golf, is what I learned.
that's a fallacy. I played with a lot of them and they're horrible.
On those media days though, because I've been to those, and the G-Jacks and all that, I was shocked at how, because I would say there is a fallacy that most people are good at golf. I disagree with that. I try to encourage people, no, play, because most people actually aren't good. Just because you play does not mean that you're good. And I tell a lot of women that too, because they assume that, oh, these guys play, they must have some sort of skill. But I found the writers pretty good overall, I gotta say.
Well, you must have seen the cream of the crop. I think years ago, Golf Digest, you get back to your point about people being good golfers, that 90% of golfers, male or female, will never break 100, and 90% of that 90% will never break 90. So I don't know what the years ago, I think the Golf Canada average handicap for males was about 20. No, sorry, was about 18, and for women it was about 26. So, I mean, it's, people who say, oh, I'll never break 90. I'm always shooting around 100. You're just an average golfer. And I think
Right.
people have to accept that. But I always get a kick out of people who think they're going to be good at golf. They don't take the time to even understand the most basic of rules. They don't take the time to get fitted for golf clubs. Unless you're a raw beginner, you should be doing that. And they'll go out and spend $1,200 on new golf clubs without taking a lesson. This to me just, it floors me, but I've been writing about that for 30 years, and with most of my writing, it's had no impact. So there you go.
Well, John, I got to say, this has been a pretty encouraging portion of the podcast, and that I figured I was in the top 1%. And I got to say also, you really know how to sell a magazine. I guess that's the skill in you, because I'm still waiting to take a look at this Japanese guy. I got to.
You know what? I wish I have it somewhere in my archives. Like I said, I think I've probably edited more golf magazines than just about anybody, because I did Score, started Golf Canada, which is now defunct. It's, they just have the online stuff. There was a short-lived magazine called Canada's Golf Ranking Magazine, which is ironic because I hate golf rankings. I think they're flawed and subjective and stupid. That's just my opinion. And there, there's been a number of others where, I just found that, to hark back to the end of my administration aberration, they hired me at Golf Ontario, then called Ontario Golf Association, to do 3 things, and electronic handicapping was one, which was a big deal back then, junior golf, and public golf. And I wasn't getting anywhere, and so I handed out booklets that I had purchased at a board meeting, and it was called "What Makes a Good Board Work." And a guy, I can still remember his name, he's probably long gone, Alan Greenspan, who ran a card and party shop in Brantford, started to tell me about the golf business. And I interrupted him and I said, Alan, when I start telling you about the card and party business, you can tell me about the golf business. So about 3 weeks later, I was out of a job, shockingly, and went from making a pretty good living to, I think that year, we had just built a new house here in Midland. We just had our 3rd child. And I think that first year I made about $14,000. So it was not the shrewdest career move, but my wife supported me, and one thing led to another, and it's been a good run since then. But anyhow, it's just been one of those things that I fell into unexpectedly. I fell in love with it, and like as you start reading that God bless the Golf Ontario, they inducted me into the Hall of Fame in
Yeah, I saw that.
2016.
Congratulations.
Thank you. A little belated, but I
A
appreciate
little
it.
belated. I waited for the
6 years.
perfect moment.
Classic Gina.
I'm curious what percentage of golfers get inducted into the Hall of Fame. That's got to be rarefied air.
Yeah, well, yeah, it is for golf writers. It was a lot of fun, and but anyhow, it just seemed to be one of those things that I always looked for a niche, and it went from SCORE to the RCGA. Then I ran the Canadian Golf Foundation. Then, Scott Morrison hired me as the golf writer for the Sun, and then I went to the National Post as their day one golf columnist because the Globe had Lauren, and they wanted somebody to be a golf columnist. And then when the National Post decimated their sports department when it was sold, I went, Scotty hired me again at Sportsnet, and I spent a number of years there. And then, I went to Club Link as their director of communications, started their magazine, Club Link Life. And yeah, it was a matter of, kind of stepping on those stones across the pond that you identified. And I really feel that I was fortunate to have landed in this industry at the time I did, because I see a resurgence. I certainly hope I do in the game, and some of that's due to it's always been, some of it's due to COVID and the fact there wasn't a hell of a lot else to do. But I think some of it is to do with historic cyclical nature of golf. If you look back to, it's always been boom or bust. My concern now is that the golf industry, the people who run golf courses and golf clubs, have always been extremely good at strangling the goose that lays the golden egg. So they think they're just running a never-ending turnstile now that tee sheets are full. My concern is that the bottom's going to drop out of that due to their avarice and greed. And that'll be detrimental to the golf industry and to golf courses. They'll start closing again and plowed under, and that's happened, repeatedly over the years. But
damn. And then what about your personal obsession with your golf game? Did it ever get to a high obsession where you and are you, how good are you?
How good was I? The older I get, the better I was.
Oh, I see. Very nice.
No, I was single digit. I was.
Oh, you were? Wow.
Digit handicapper. Yeah, and I've got. Cheers.
That's impressive, starting after 30, that you got down to a single digit.
Well, yeah, because I did get the opportunity to play a hell of a lot of really good golf courses and got to play a lot, and with some really good players and with some really good teachers. But yeah, I got I'm just looking up. I've got some trophies up there. I won a match play at a golf club I played at. I won a senior championship at Midland Golf Course in their centennial year of 2019. I won I'm just looking at it. It looks like the grill off a 1965 Buick Roadmaster. It was one of the greatest boondoggles of all time. I got invited to, as the only Canadian, to go play in the Hassan II Trophy in Morocco. So
wow.
It's sponsored by the King, right? I just call him King. And so they fly you to JFK, and you get on a 767 that is all first class seats, right?
Jeez. And
before you take off, there's lobster and champagne. And to my dying day, I'll remember one of the stupid American writers. He goes, "Excuse me, stewardess, this quote, in brackets, free champagne isn't quite cold enough." Man, are you ever entitled? You just. Anyhow, we went over there. We had a great time, and I ended up winning the media side of the events.
Wow.
Nice. That's great.
Yeah, that's still up there, weighing down the left-hand side of our house. It's.
Do you keep it next to a chilled bottle of champagne?
No, I keep it next to my typewriter. So I don't know if you saw the picture. I have a typewriter. I still have two typewriters in my office, actually, and I use one to. It's an electric Smith Corona that I use to type letters from Santa, thus the beard, to my young grandsons who get something in the mail every week leading up to Christmas. So
Aw,
I know.
great.
that's so sweet.
Oh, thank you.
You're trying for the Grandpa Hall of Fame.
The
I'm
Ontario
already there.
grandpa.
I'm already there. Yeah.
I think it's time for the par five. Monty, do you want to do the honors?
Oh, damn, I should have read those questions. shouldn't I?
It's not a
Let's hope this
test.
is a par five.
It's not a test, John.
Do I get it
Uh,
all in
Your favorite golf course?
or- Oof. Well, as you can imagine, with 4 volumes of the Great Golf Courses of Canada and one of the Great Golf Courses of America, plus all the travel, I've gotten to play. I have not played Augusta, and that pisses me off to this day because of all the Masters I attended, and I know Grange talked about getting the draw, and Weeksy and Tim Campbell from Winnipeg, those guys all got to play. I never got my name drawn.
Damn.
Do you know that Mike Weir eventually got to play it?
Mike Weir,
Mhm.
no,
Daryl,
no. Are you
I
sure
didn't know
about
you were a
that?
Canadian golf historian, Daryl.
Are you sure about that?
He's played it at least once.
I think he played it 4 times in 2003, but I could be wrong. Not counting practice rounds. Funny guy.
Mhm.
No, you are comedians. Okay, I was mistaken.
It took 34 minutes for us to reveal ourselves, but yes. we're comedians.
Yeah,
I
we're
can't stop staring at Monty's jacket. That's the problem.
dazzling.
Well, that's a I thought it was a shawl.
I'm
crochet?
I'm very
Is that
glad you mistook
crochet?
it for a shawl. Yeah, like
Yeah, it's
bring me
nice.
my
Nothing-
golf podcast shawl.
Not many people crochet anymore, but that's
Oh, yeah.
not.
You're 100% correct.
Yeah, and you can't really see the bottom half, but it's like a crop top.
I don't,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't want to see.
This thing, it's all belly underneath this.
Who's the guy with the strong calf game? I don't want to know what your strong game is.
Play button.
So I used to say years ago that it was Highlands Links and Cape Breton Island because that was just when I discovered it. I was one of the few writers to go there in 1989 when I was doing the first volume of the Great Golf Courses of Canada. I was blown away by how good a golf course. It was in shitty shape and it remains in shitty shape because it's in a national park and they won't put any money into it because it's unfortunate. That's a national treasure. But anyhow, having said that, Ian Andrew did some great restoration work there to cut down some of the trees so you can see Stanley Thompson, Jeff Cornish's kind of vision of it as a links golf course rather than a parkland golf course that they turned it into, just nature turned it into over the years. And then of course, I had the opportunity to see the land that is now Cabot Links back in 1999.
Wow.
And it was just, a forsaken area between the village of Inverness and the water. But they had actually played golf there for many years. They'd take out a bush hog and cut out a few holes and put a stick in the ground and they'd play 6 or 7 or 9 holes. And John McIsaac took me around that property. I was writing a piece for the Financial Post at that time, and it was titled "Can Golf Save Cape Breton Island?" which was uncharacteristically accurate and prophetic for me, because I mentioned that in the property that became Benoin, and another one that was almost like Bigwin Island in that it was called I can't remember the name of the island, but it was owned by an indigenous band, and you would take a ferry out to it. I don't think it was ever developed. But I knew that something special would happen at Inverness, and that became Cabot Links, and I played there several times. My wife and I, who's also an avid golfer, and then Cabot Cliffs. But I still have to go back to the couple of times I played Royal County Down in Northern Ireland, and that to me just, I've played the Old Course and I've played Kingsbarns, and I've you name it just about, and I've played it. But there's just something raw and authentic and inspiring and rejuvenating about playing a golf course like that. I mean, I've got some photos of, it's just, if you turn them into black and white, it could be back in 1880,
Wow.
but it was 1990. So.
So you haven't played Augusta. Have you played Pebble?
Yes.
Okay, so the part 2 of that question is, besides Augusta, St. Andrews, or Pebble, 2 of which you've played, is there a course you've yet to play that you would most want to play?
I've never played in Australia
Hmm.
or New Zealand, and some of the new golf courses in New Zealand and some of the sandbelt courses in Australia, I would love to play because they really seem again authentic and an unusual and fun experience. Yeah, so that would be, as a blanket statement, that's, that's.
I hear they use snakes instead of clubs. Just
Oh, really? And if I go, I would really like Mad Max's car as a
Is it cart?
I think
Yeah,
that would suit my game these days.
The bar carts are
perfect.
wild over there. Yeah.
I think they call
Uh,
them beer carts. Coffee cart.
again, the title is wrong, guys. We learned this today.
Jesus. Episode 11 of season 2. Okay, question number 2. John, you can put together your ideal foursome with the caveat no PGA players, no LPGA players, no live players, which I'm assuming you wouldn't pick any of those anyway, and anyone alive or dead who is running your foursome.
I would like to pick all the dead players from the Live Tour. Uh, but I would select as my ideal foursome, and for the benefit of all concerned, I'm taking this myself out of this foursome. I would like my 3 grandsons
Oh,
to play with my late father-in-law,
wow.
who introduced me
Wow.
to the game. And yeah,
What a great answer.
Well, yeah, that's great
Grandfather
picking.
Hall of Fame. Grandfather
Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
That's how you
Yeah.
make it there.
he was the best. I mean, that guy, Bill Ironstone, that guy killed me. One time we're playing at Midland Golf Club up here, and at that time the 16th was a shortish par 4. Billy was never really a good golfer, but he was very avid, and he dinged his tee shot into the bush, and I mean, Midland is tree lined. It's ridiculously tree lined. So he pulls out a 5-wood from about 140 yards and totally thins it and hits the flagstick about 3 feet up, and
Jesus.
it drops into the hole for eagle.
Oh my God.
And he doesn't even like crack a smile. We go back to the cottage and he's telling everybody about this soaring, arcing shot that reached the apex and dunked itself into the hole. And I just sat there and said, what am I going to say?
Amazing. Oh, that's
Just
so
let him
great.
have it.
Yeah.
How old are your grandsons?
The eldest is 5. The next one down is 1.5 years, and the little one is 11 months old tomorrow.
No offense, but they're gonna be terrible golfers in this foursome
so
if it happens soon. Yeah.
So
Hope
Oh,
we don't
the
get
pace of
caught behind your
play.
dream
You know what?
foursome. Oh
know,
my God.
And I'm an advocate I'm an advocate against slow play, but I'm not an advocate for fast play, but I'm an advocate for efficient play.
Yeah.
So
I like
when
that.
when I was at Midland, I was a member there for 30 years until recently. And we always wanted to be the first group out. And even in walking, we would be 3 to 3:10.
Mhm.
And then back in those days before the bar opened. So a quick anecdote, a guy we hadn't played with before, a good friend of ours, joined our foursome, and we played the first hole, and he said, I was 5. And I said, no, you were 8. And he says, what do you mean I was 8? And I said, you took 3 practice swings. So we cannot count on the strokes. So, so that was an 8. He never took another practice stroke.
That's mean.
That's
Oh,
great.
well, you know me, right? So that was kind of my.
It's like, yeah, that's who I am.
But
Well,
no,
It kind of goes back to what you said about people paying $1,200 for a set of golf clubs and then not learning how to play. There's so many things. Like I play with people and you're like, okay, why are you not getting ready to take your shot?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And they're just like, don't stand around and talk. Go to
Yeah.
your ball. We can talk on the next
Think
tee. We're gonna be
ahead.
waiting on the next
And-
tee.
and people who plumb bob most of them might as well close both eyes. If they're holding it up, they have no clue what they're doing. And then they pull out a rangefinder. The guy's a 28 handicapper. He pulls the rangefinder 50 yards out. I feel like shoving that where the sun doesn't shine.
As if it'll make a difference.
Pardon me?
As if it'll make a difference, right?
Well,
At that
no, he
point.
just knows he's gonna, he's gonna hit that sand wedge either 4 feet or,
Right.
140 feet over the green. So
Well, I tell you what, John, if you counted my practice swings, I'm coming in at about a little bit under $1,000 for a round.
Monty does like a good practice swing, I'll tell you
You're-
that.
you're not in my favorite course.
It just got cut.
Okay,
I
question
think
number
we'll-
3.
The 11-month-old is going to play faster. Dave.
Question number 3, on a hot summer day, John, you're out playing, and the bar cart comes around, not just a beer cart, because you can get more than beer. What are you ordering from the bar cart? A Bud Light?
A light.
Okay,
I respect
simple.
that. A
Yeah.
light beer on the golf course is perfect.
It's the best. So
Yeah.
I did crack this out just for this, but I got to tell you a quick cocktail story. So years ago at Midland, the bar cart comes around, and I know I was making fun of mixed drinks. So a friend of mine wanted a Caesar, so he gets it in one of those red Solo cups, and she drives away, sets it down behind him. It's on a par 5. He's hitting a sand wedge into the green, and he takes a good swing, and I'm watching the divot go up, and I'm going, this can't possibly be happening. He's watching the ball. I'm watching the divot. It lands right in that freshly made Caesar.
Oh,
I mean,
We're
they do
rolling
need
around with
garnish,
it. Like
right?
he couldn't hit the green, but he could hit a red Solo cup that's about 4 inches in diameter.
honestly, the stuff that goes into Caesars these days, though, dirt would just be
Yeah.
like, ooh,
That's
it's our
right,
special
yeah.
Caesar,
Where
That's
I'm coming
extra.
from, that might be an improvement.
right?
To not mess
Yeah,
up
but-
Gina's Caesar. I'm like, no, that's good. Dirt's fine.
That's perfect. Dirt
I
on the
mean,
rim.
But I'm sure
Dirt
we all have stories that are almost unbelievable of things you've seen on the golf course if you've played it long enough and played with the right people. I think that's you asked about my favorite golf course, and a guy I've played golf with for more than 30 years, Mike Sanoma, and I mentioned him in the acknowledgements of one of my books. He said, it's not where you play, it's with whom you play. And I've played really shitty golf courses, but I've played them with great people. And the memory I have maybe that's why rankings bother me a bit. It's about the experience. It's not about the conditioning or the shot values or rough and recovery, all those objective things that they put in course ranks. I mean, I was a course rank. I started the course rankings at SCORE, and I was a course ranker for Golf Digest for many years.
Wow.
I know it's 10% objective and 90% bullshit. So
Right.
I mean, isn't fun one of the categories?
it should be, and value.
Yeah.
Like, where's your value proposition in golf? My
Mhm.
value proposition is how much I enjoyed myself that day. And I don't care if I used to golf in all sorts of weather. I'm more of a fair weather golfer now that I'm older, but if I walked off the golf course with a smile on my face, then that to me was, it was a 9 out of 10. And if the beer was cold and the conversation, the camaraderie after was excellent, then it was an 11 out of 10. So I think
Great.
that's really what the object of the game is, to have fun, right? I mean, I gave up long ago. I mean, like I said, I wasn't a bad player at my peak, but and I know, Gina, you're a good player, but
I'm not. Who told you that? I am not a good player.
Well, you complimented me on my record. The rest of the guys kind of just glossed over that. So you're my favorite. But if that's your value proposition, then that's what the game's all about. Too many people go into it and they get frustrated, and I can't remember the last time I was angry on a golf course.
Yeah.
I can't. And people who throw clubs, man, that's the last time you play with me.
I mean, it's the perfect segue to the next question: is what is the
Yeah.
angriest you've ever seen someone on the course?
It goes back to the SCORE days, actually, and a guy named Mike Cassidy's probably dead now. Yeah.
Here's
was a-
hoping.
He was because anyhow, real good player out of St. Thomas, and he was selling ads for SCORE. And he invited me down. There's probably still is a really good 2-day event at St. Thomas. Is it called the Eager Beaver? Anyhow, it's like real good players from across Ontario go there. You know, back in the day it was Warren Size, Stu Hamilton, you know, Steve Hales, all those guys would show up. It was a 2-man deal, so he invited me to go down. And but he had a temper. He was an Irishman, and you know, he just he had a bad temper. So he had a set of Hogan Persimmon woods. Okay,
Mhm.
so that's how far back we go, steel shafts. And he missed a wedge shot on 18 that maybe might have put us in the money. And he took his wedge and he whacked his bag, and he hit his Hogan driver, Persimmon driver, right on the hosel.
Oh,
Snapped that head off. And if he was angry before, when he realized that that could not be repaired, it was garbage now, he almost wept. So that
Jesus.
to me was like, you know, well, serves you right. You did it to yourself. I mean, I've seen guys angry, and I've you know, even one of my brothers-in-law, I walked off the golf course. You know, I'd had enough. Yeah, I walked off in the 14th hole. I said, enough with this shit. I mean, you're sucking the fun out of the game for everybody
Mhm.
concerned. So why don't you
I bet you your 7-month-old grandson's gonna have some breakdowns.
He better not.
No. He takes after his grandma. No, and the nice thing about being a grandparent, I always say it's like renting versus owning. You know, so
Sure.
we're blessed that both our daughters live 10 minutes down the road in Victoria Harbor. I live in Midland. And you know, so we can go down and visit them and then get the hell out of Dodge, you know, turn the key in the condo and come back home.
No, it's the
That's
way
how
to
I
do
feel
it.
about being friends with Monty. I can just go over, get the hell out of Dodge.
Where are you going with this?
I always tell Daryl whenever he comes over, you can
He's
leave
not
anytime you want.
listening. He's not listening.
I always think it's magnanimous of me to say, hey, listen, you can leave when you want, no problems.
Is that why when you were over a few weeks ago, you faked diarrhea? Did you fake it, or was that real?
No, I was ill.
Oh,
There was
check
something
your
wrong with
coat.
me.
Check your coat.
Prove it.
Yeah, there was something the matter.
Monty at like midnight, he's like, I gotta go home. And I was like, this
Yeah.
is not like Monty. This is not like
No.
Monty at all.
I feel like there was Putin might have been involved. I'm not 100% sure.
Did you say pooping or poop?
Hey, I wasn't sure about
But
that
also,
either.
yeah,
Well, the
you pick.
audio isn't good on my computer. Sorry.
You
Think
can
you
pick
said
on that one,
Putin.
John. Yeah, it's a
Oh,
choose your own
boy.
adventure of a
It's,
statement.
it's the Russian word for pooping.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you can answer the last question because it's such a big question for someone with your history with the game, but your favorite golf moment.
That you know what? That's an excellent question, and I'm gonna just reach over here.
Are
and
we
I'm
getting
gonna
one of the
show you-
trophies?
I'm going to
Oh.
show you this. I don't know. You probably can't see that because
Oh,
it's a sterling silver golf tee on a little
Yeah.
base that says George Knudsen Award, PGI 1994.
Wow.
So,
I just want to be the first to say congratulations on this award,
Yeah,
just so I can
that's-
be like Gina and congratulating you on the Hall of Fame.
I'll
so
say
back in-
congrats in a year.
back in the day, the late Peter Zosky had fundraising tournaments for Frontier College adult literacy.
Mhm.
And Lauren Rubenstein got me involved in that. And I don't know what they were thinking, but they had me as like their celebrity bartender. So despite the fact that there was an awful lot of inventory shrinkage, you know, during the events, which were held at the Briars, it was an 18-hole event at the Briars, and all sorts of Canadian celebrities, musicians, actors, and so forth showed up, and they had, I believe it burned down the Red Barn. They had a great evening of entertainment. And over the years, you know, they raised tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars for adult literacy in Canada.
Wow.
So Peter and Lauren cooked up this George Knudsen Memorial Award for like the volunteer of the year. And one year they always had a writer in residence, and all sorts of far more accomplished writers than I and poets had that honor. And then one year it was me. And so they gave me that as kind of the volunteer writer in residence and so forth. And boy, it was just one of those things. And Jeannie, you may not know this, but I was inducted in the Ontario Golf Hall of Fame in 2016.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, I can tell that's sincere. But it was
I'm going
one
to
of
tweet
those-
it.
Is this breaking news?
Can you post date that till 20? Was there Twitter in 2016? Anyhow, but it was just one of those moments when you're, and for those who know me, uncharacteristically, you're dumbfounded. You're at a loss for words. You're just so it's so unexpected. Like I said, a lot of the crap that or events that happened to you in what is that, over 35 years in in an industry, some of that stuff you expect, or some of that stuff you make happen because you, like I said, you find a niche, you try to develop something like the golf books. No one had ever done books on Canadian golf courses. You make that stuff happen for yourself because you have a mortgage, you have a family, you've got to pay the bills, and nobody wants to hire you because you're a bit of a arrogant prick. But when something like the George Knudsen thing happens, or the Hall of Fame, that type of thing, and then the Golf Journalists Association gave me their Dick Grimm Award a couple of years ago. That type of thing happens. It really, you don't feel, if you're being honest with yourself, you don't feel you deserve it, because really what you're doing is you're trying to do your job. And not to be too, I don't know, sentimental or whatever about it, but I always thought my job was to make the game of golf in Canada better. And some of the stuff I did maybe made it better, maybe didn't make it better, but I think that was always my motivation, and my reason for being was I believed in the game, and I think it's a great game, and I think it's got a great future in this country, and I think more people should play it, and people who say it's elitist are full of shit. It's the most democratic and representative game that we have. It's inexpensive to play, and I will debate anyone to the death that it's not, that you can't, outside of certain metropolitan areas, that you and your family can't play golf at an affordable level.
That's great.
Definitely. I love municipal golf courses so much. And I found when I was at Score Golf, that's what, like, I would play on weekends, and I was just trying to get better so that I could fit into this industry that I kind of fell into. And I just got so much joy out of it. And then out of that came all these stories from that point of view. And I think there is something, we work really hard. We try to hit certain benchmarks in our career. But the unexpected ones, the ones that kind of take us here, like for you, being able to give back, it seems like it was an unexpected place for you to be all of a sudden, and yet you had worked tirelessly to be in that position. It's just you had never kind of put yourself in that mindset of being like the guy that can like provide that for somebody.
No one was more surprised than me. I mean, one of my best friends, we've been friends since our Canadian Press days in Toronto in the late 70s, Mike Rutsey, who covered the Jays for the Toronto Sun for, Jesus, 25 or 30 years, and recently retired back up here to harass me. For 1 year, he got assigned to cover the NFL for the Sun. And so we're having a beer, and I said, what the hell do you know about the NFL? And he says, a hell of a lot more than you knew about golf, and you took over the sport. So I couldn't argue that.
Yeah.
But it's funny how something gets, it gets in your veins. And, my wife took it up after our kids got to a certain age. And, she's an avid golfer now. And our kids have all tried it. Our younger daughter, who is just a natural, she's 6'2" and got recruited for basketball at universities, and just a natural athlete. I mean, she can go out there, she can hit a 6-iron about as far as I can drive her now. But
Jeez.
Wow.
oh yeah, she's something to watch. But it'll be something that her and her husband love. But when their kids get a little bit older, they'll pick it up again. And I think that's the key, is to, we focus a lot on, how do we get more women involved? How do we get more seniors involved? How do we get more kids involved? Just get clubs in their hands. It doesn't matter if, their gender or their age or, whatever, their ethnicity. Just get clubs in their hands and let them fall in love with it, like I did. Jesus, now 40 years ago. And then you may walk away from it, but it'll draw you back. It's seductive, the game of golf.
Incredible. I think
Totally.
your impact on Canadian golf it may not even be measurable, which I can see where you
In
may
a
not
positive
know.
way? In a positive way, you're thinking?
No.
You
but
should
I-
be in the Hall of Fame. That's what I think.
Don't tell Gina. Don't tell Gina.
I thought Gina was workshopping her speech for when you get inducted to the next Hall of Fame there. I don't know.
You can nominate me. You can nominate me.
Well,
need
you're
an
gonna go
editor
in,
for that
you're going into the Where's That Bar Cart Hall of Fame for sure
hell
for this
yeah.
episode.
Where's
God.
that beer cart? We got to do it. You guys-
It's a little late now. We have
You're-
merchandise.
You're going in under protest. I'm like,
Okay,
I
so
want
you
it to be
guys are
beer
all gonna
cart.
have like dirty martinis or something.
That's
it
what
was
the divots keep ending up in the martinis. That's what makes them dirty.
That's what it's all about.
very nice, Daryl. It was quite an honor, John. Amazing to meet you, and thank you for
Yeah.
everything you've.
Yeah, that
contributed.
was
It's,
fantastic.
It's fun. Like I always say, it's nice to be recognized for the guy who used to be John Gordon. So
What do you think of the podcast format? I mean, you've done so much media. What do you think of podcasting?
I love it. I think it's more honest and immediate, and than it's not, everything started as blogs, right? And that was
Right.
just
Yeah.
kind of masturbatory for people who couldn't get paid for for writing. But I think podcasts, if they're going to have any sort of legs, they've got to be authentic, and they've got to be immediate, and they've got to be impactful. And like before I agreed to come on, I looked at some of your stuff, and while you're not all that funny, you're very, very authentic. So I hope you're keeping your day jobs, and I wish you continued success. But I'm a fan, and I watch, and I don't watch a lot of them. But like Scott McLeod's, I certainly do, because he's like I said, he's a solid citizen, and Tim O'Connor and Humble Howard, they have some good stuff. Like I said, it's not, that whole, golf in the kingdom, blah blah blah. I never really got that. It's like, do you inhale or exhale on a downswing? Who gives a shit? Just hit the ball. And
I
that's-
asked that question once.
Yeah, and
Did
I'm
you?
still upset.
Because I used to be a fitness trainer, so I'm like,
Oh.
always interested in
As,
the.
as did I.
There you go.
No.
No.
But I never had a crocheted shawl either. So
No.
I tell you
well,
what, you get this thing on, you get a little dirt in your martini, best day of your life.
You know what, Monty? Maybe we could crochet one with our logo on it. We can
Yeah.
start to sell those.
I
There
don't
you
see any
go.
reason why not. Just
golf shawl.
give me a couple of hours.
Very much a pleasure, John. Thank you. If we ever get the chance, we'd love to play golf with you. We're all located in Toronto now, so if
I'll
you're
take
ever
out the
around,
practice swings if you
that's not
insist.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
I get a nosebleed if I go south on Highway 9. So you guys
to
can
know.
come to me.
All right.
And-
Well, and before we go, John, I just want to say congratulations on the Hall of Fame.
What? That's the first I've heard of it.
Took the words right out of my mouth, Daryl, honestly.
Sorry, Gina.
Well, it's nice to meet y'all, and like I said, I wish you continued success.
Thank
Yeah,
you so
you
much.
too,
Very
John.
much.
So much, John.
Cheers.
Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
That was an awesome podcast with John Gordon. How about that? Do you guys enjoy it? I had a great time. It was illuminating.
That was awesome. What an honor to meet him. I mean, I'm surprised I haven't kind of come across him,
Yeah.
but he's kind of on a whole other level. You know, Lauren Rubenstein and all those guys that worked on Score Golf at such an early age of the magazine, can I say?
Sure.
Yeah, just
Well,
really neat. and
considering you
really
weren't
neat.
even born yet, at a very early age.
1997.
Yeah. John's 11-month-old grandson was older than you.
Yeah, that's correct.
But what a
That's cool.
storyteller. And I think that could have gone 2 or 3 hours, I think. If, it was great.
I know we didn't even ask him about his books.
Yeah, I know.
No. See, we don't plan anything beforehand, Gina. Like having you on is so much more professional. It just feels like, I mean, and this is no shot at Nick, because Nick likes to think of himself as a broadcaster.
I
And
feel
know
like it
there's
might be
that
a,
rivalry
Wait,
between you
whoa,
guys,
whoa.
where Monty and I are just here for our looks.
yeah,
We
pretty
know
much.
that.
It's the shawl. Everybody knows. I feel like it was definitely a shot at me, Daryl. But I mean, I'll take that. I'm unprofessional. That's part of my charm.
It wasn't a
You're
shot at
just
you
there.
at all. It's just some people are more polished than others.
That's true.
You know,
That's a fact.
I mean, some of us stay around for the outros. Some of us just leave right away as soon as the episode's over. So I don't, what can you say?
welcome back,
Uh,
Gina, is what we're trying to say.
I was like, okay, I don't want to make John feel weird for hanging around. Like we should just
Right.
end this so that he feels like, oh yeah, we're all leaving.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
fine. It all worked out in the end.
Yeah, you're back.
I'm
You're
back.
back.
Way.
Welcome back. It's great to have you. Thank you for
Thank
joining
you
us
so much.
again.
And Gina, for me personally, I always leave parties just part way through without saying anything. That's what it's all about.
Right, absolutely.
The
yeah.
Irish goodbye.
Mhm.
I don't know why the Irish get credited for that, but it's a good one.
I don't know. It's a good question. Huh.
We could look it up, but I mean, we don't have time.
Yeah,
don't-
I think we know what they were up to.
So busy.
If you're listening to this when we release it, I hope everyone enjoys a nice holiday season. I hope everyone gets lots of golf goodies in your stockings and all that stuff. We've got a special episode maybe planned for because we have an episode coming out on Christmas Day, so we've got a little surprise for you planned. A little gift of our
Oh, yeah.
own. Wouldn't you
There's
say?
What a
something
gift
for
it
everyone's stocking.
Yeah.
Golf
Yes.
shell.
Personalized golf shells.
Shelf, you might call it.
Yeah.
Shawl.
Um,
How
shelf
does
on the,
John call us not funny?
Yeah, I
He's
know.
Seriously, wow.
Yeah.
I
That-
can't
that's
believe
something
someone hasn't picked us up as a TV show. This is the best thing you're ever going to see.
best thing you're ever going to see. That's how we should bill it always.
Best thing you're ever gonna see.
Yeah.
Do you,
Thank you
Monty, are you
all.
wearing like tearaway pants underneath that thing? I want to
stand
believe
up,
you're
Monty.
just.
Tore him away
Stand
a long
up.
time ago, guys. Tore him
Please
away
sit
about
down.
halfway through. But I need a little bit
Thanks.
more juice.
Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks BetStamp. Thanks Comedy Records. Thank you, Gina. Yeah, that
Thank
was
you,
it.
Nick.
And please follow us on all the social medias and like us. And please like us. And,
Love
sad.
us. Love us even.
and we'll be in the Hall of Fame soon. We're sure of it.
Well, some sort of holiday.
It's coming.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody.
God bless
Bye,
you,
everybody.
everyone.